slides aren't coming up, but I guess I can say, before I begin, I'd like to admit that I'm terrified of being up here on stage. But maybe that's kind of the whole point. I remember when I first came to UNC, I thought I was going to reinvent myself. And my intention was for people to think, oh my goodness, you've changed. You're less timid, you're less of a dork, you're less awkward. And of course, trying to reinvent myself is the reason I'm having so many existential crises to this very day. Crises that stem from questions like, and I'm sure you all know them, who am I, what am I doing in my life, where am I going? But one which keeps resonating with me over and over and over again is, where do I exist? Or rather, where is the limit between self and not self? And to try and answer this question, I read as widely as I possibly could. But the problem is, most of the first things I read gave the kind of advice all of you are frustrated with, just find yourself and you'll be happy, or just be yourself. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. I want more. I need more. We all want more, right? And so I went looking for more until I ended up on this guy, Friedrich Nietzsche. He's kind of the go-to guy for everybody having an existential crisis. And I settled on one particular line, which is this. Now his materialist position is that we are just stuff. We're just physical bodies. In other words, every non-physical thing you think you are, soul, spirit, ego, is just a manifestation of a physical thing. Now, even though this is one of my favorite statements ever, I'm not saying it's correct, because there have been a multitude of other positions on the nature of existence. Everything from we can't know what we are, to we're pure consciousness, to we're just stuff, to I think, therefore I am. This idea that there has to be a thinking entity somewhere for there to be a thought, for there to be a self. But it's not necessarily our brain, it's not necessarily our body. When I was doing my research for this, there's a really stupid pun I kept coming across online that said, in the modern age, it's not so much I think, therefore I am, but I phone, therefore I am. Good, I'm not going to find that funny. Now, whatever you think of that pun, I think it speaks to the kind of existential role of technology, wherever you happen to be on the spectrum. If you take the position that we are just stuff, we're just physical bodies, well then technology has had an impact for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. From the moment we picked up sticks and stones as tools, we began to have what people call a symbiotic relationship with our technology. We made our tools, but then our tools made us back. So for example, we could hunt more efficiently, we could start fires, we could cook. And as a result, we could extract more nutritional energy from our food by pre-digesting it. And as a result, our brain and body development kind of improves exponentially, and we become what we are, or we became what we are today. But even from a purely physical definition of the human body, the tools became physical extensions of the self, of the stuff. But there are some people, and I'm sure some of you are in the audience right now, who say, but sure, but if I let go of the tool, then it's no longer part of who I am. And that might be true, and there are many debates around that proposition. But if you fast forward to what's happening in the modern age, where we have brain implants and artificial retinas, heart implants, bionic limbs, suddenly the division between, or rather where somebody ends as a body and begins as a machine isn't quite as obvious anymore. In fact, the two kind of become synonymous with each other. And I'll fast forward. If that's where we are today with that kind of technology, just imagine what it's going to be like in the future. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end, if you fit in this section of, if you adhere more to this information processing aspect of the self, well, the technology's had an impact there as well. A very basic example of this is that we no longer have to learn and remember everything we know because we can use our smartphones and our computers to refer to that information. We kind of compute through our smartphones, we live through our smartphones, we think through our smartphones, we feel and think through our smartphones. A more complex example would be that modern technology is kind of changing the things that we can think of. In other words, we have access to more things that were previously invisible. The microscopic, different frequencies of light, the distant For instance, right now there's a rover on Mars that's collecting visual information, sending it back through a vast amount of space to Earth so that a physical human body can interpret it. Thank you. And to me, that's very impressive. Technology is becoming what futurists like Ray Kurzweil refer to as an expansion of mind and an externalization of our nervous system. In other words, we're not just here, we're there as well. Trust me, I have a lot more I want to say about this, but I'm going to end on a different note. And that's that there's this idea that the self is always changing, the self is always becoming, it's always elusive. And if it is elusive, well then maybe we don't have to reach a conclusive definition. We don't have to completely describe it. So for those of you who are in my position, and who are kind of worried about life and this kind of stuff, even if you don't figure everything out, you're going to be okay, trust me. And that's something I'd like to end on. Good luck to all of you. Thank you.